It's a Muncie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a late model, 69 original transmission, because the first ones had a little bolt sticking out, 5/16 nut on the shifter.
Okay.
Yeah. A 5/16.
Okay.
And every time you tighten it, it broke it off. But the first ones had a, first transmission had a 5/16 thread on here.
Oh.
And every time you tighten them, they broke them off.
Okay.
So then the late model, they said, okay, we'll make that better. We'll put a 3/8 thread on here. So that's a lot stronger. So that next series had 3/8 threads on them.
Okay. Is that the biggest difference?
Yes. And that's at M20 had the 5/16 early. M20 also had the 3/8. M20 had the shaft in the bottom of the transmission. The big countershaft was about the size of a nickel.
Huh. Okay.
Then the M21 transmission had the 3/8 screw in like that one.
Oh, instead of a stud
the
sticking
bolt.
out. Okay.
Yeah, instead of sticking out.
Huh.
And the M21 had the speedometer coming out of the passenger side of the transmission.
Okay.
M20 came out the driver's side right through the linkage. So now you had a speedometer cable in there when you're trying to adjust all the linkage.
That's a pain.
Yes. So 21, they moved the thing on the right side.
Okay.
Then we see that the original cases maybe and 21s did not have a drain plug. You can't drain it.
You have to take it out?
Yeah.
Or suck it out or something?
Yeah, suck it out.
Yeah.
And if you bought an aftermarket case from the factory and replaced the original, it had a drain plug.
Yeah.
You don't drain the transmission.
Yeah.
You just dump it out.
Yeah.
So that's some of the differences real quick on one or the other one. Then they talk about Rock Crusher.
Yeah. What is a Rock Crusher? What are
Okay, the Rock Crusher is that you could buy a heavy-duty transmission gears. The gears for Rock Crusher were kind of straight cut, so they were stronger, but they made more noise.
Yes.
Anytime you get straight cut gears, straight, they're long. So then the M20, 21s had angle cut, maybe 30 degrees between the input shaft and the cluster gear. So anytime you get an angle gear, they force one another apart.
Yes.
And that's harder on the transmission, the thrust washers, but it was quieter. So then that transmission out of Camaro there, it's got two grooves around the input shaft. That means it's 254 ratio, or if you multiply it, 256 in first gear.
Can we see that on there?
Yes.
Can we see it? Okay.
Yes. And if we had one groove, it's 220. So 220 gear ratio is closer to high gear, 1-to-1. So a 220 gear would be good for a 410 gear in the rear end, or 456, or else just drive. It's hard to take off a stop sign with a 220 gear. Transmission low ratio, because it'll go almost maybe a block in first gear. But only changes 900 RPMs between first gear, second gear, between second and third, fourth, because fourth gear is always 1-to-1.
So they call that a close ratio.
That's right, close ratio.
Yep.
It only changes 800, 900 RPMs at each one, depends on whatever.
When would it be an advantage to have a close ratio?
You're going to race it with a 456 rear end, and you shift it real fast, or the 302 Chevy Z28 motor with a high RPM motor. So you'd want maybe a 220 low.
So you're putting it in the rev band and keeping it where the revs are?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And driving on the street, you want 256, so you can take off in first gear easily. And then the RPM difference is maybe about 1,100 between each shift.
Right.
Yeah, because you end up with, in fourth gear, 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to tell which is which.
Okay.
So you could put the Rock Crusher transmission gears in an early M21, and then different ones. So then the M22 came out with all the good stuff.
Okay.
But you could get the Rock Crusher gears, 220 low, 256, and an M22.
Okay.
M22 had a bigger shaft, same size as a Turbo 400.
Sounds like it could even handle a big block.
Yes. So these, here's one here that's got one groove in it,
Yep, I see it.
and that would be a 220 low. That one over there is two grooves in it, and that's the 256 low. And then the Turbo, the bigger one, the 250, it's got a bigger bearing on here, the same size as a Turbo 400. Here, I'll show you.
Okay.
This happens to be a Turbo 400 yoke. So this would, if this is an M22, this yoke would have went on there.
Okay, yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So it can handle more power.
Yes. And the M22 only has 3 bolts here,
Oh.
and a bigger bearing and a bigger seal to handle this yoke.
I see, okay. They
And
did
usually
away-
the M22 had a fine spline
Oh, okay.
in the front. So there is quite a bit of difference.
Yeah.
And you can see those by just walking up to one.
Yeah, when you know what you're looking for.
3
you see it,
holes,
huh?
bigger yoke with the late model shifter forks, fine spline. It's an M22. And the
Yeah.
M22 transmission in the back is longer, about 1 inch longer.
Huh.
So the whole transmission is 1 inch longer.
What in the world is this out of?
That's an overdrive, Doug Nash overdrive, for a back of a Turbo 400 transmission.
Really?
So if you had a Turbo 400 automatic transmission
Yeah.
in your 4-wheel drive,
So like a Chevy.
not necessarily, this is not 4-wheel drive, but if you had it
Okay.
in your Suburban or something,
A Chevy K-Series pickup?
yes,
Okay.
K-Series truck with a
Yeah.
Turbo 400,
Uh-huh.
you could put this behind it and have an overdrive then.
Interesting.
So that would about 30% overdrive, which is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, those are cases.
Yeah, so if this was see there's the original case, there's no fill plug
Aha. Or drain plug.
or drain plug. This is a fill plug,
Right.
drain plug. If it had a drain plug here, that would have been a case that you would have bought from Chevrolet. This is a small, see it's about the size of a nickel. So this is an M20 case. The other one's about the size of a quarter, 1 inch we call it.
Okay.
A 1 inch lower shaft is an M22. This is an M22 case.
Okay,
It's
you
broken.
do have one.
See how big it is? It's
Much bigger, yes.
1 inch, and you can see that a mile away.
Yep.